I am not here because I have done things perfectly. I honestly believe I was put on earth so my message, my own message can become message. What gives me a lot of joy is when someone has defined what they want their life to look like, and they can then look at the resources that they have towards getting that life. This journey started, I was in the banking sector for a while, but not directly in the banks. I was dealing with the stockbroking section of that institution. And I just started questioning why, especially with money, am I dealing with money the way I'm dealing with money? And it didn't come overnight, but something inside of me got a bit, have you ever felt a bit unsettled? Yeah, you don't know why you're unsettled, but you're unsettled. And my unsettlement led to me leaving the formal financial sector. At first, I thought I was going to go and set up the same thing I walked away from, a stockbroking firm. Yeah, and that's what I did for a couple of years. But as I did that is when I found financial freedom. Not because I had money, because I did not have money. And in that not having money, I went back to evaluate when I had money, when I had this important thing called a salary. What was I actually doing with it? So it started by me seeking out people who had, in my opinion, created wealth, and then learning as I sought them out, they are not wealthy. Because what do we define wealth as? How would you know I'm wealthy? If you've never seen me, how would you know I'm wealthy? What would I need to have? A car, and a good car, yes. A big house. Yeah, land. Someone has whispered land. Yeah. But as I sat with them, I call these people my mentors, some of who, one of them is your current chair. Yeah. I learned that that is not wealth. So today, what date are you paid by Kenyari? 20? 24. So one day, you're told by HR, something is wrong with the system. Something is wrong with the system. Yeah. So here I was. I had the experience, banker. Yeah, I'd worked in the bank. I'd even at some point worked in property. At some point I worked with insurance as well. I tried for a while, I worked with there's no financial product I've not worked with, yeah. I worked with bonds, I did bonds, I traded bonds, yeah, I did stock market. What would you assume someone who has that has? I had the titles they give you in these organizations, portfolio manager, investment analyst, and yes, I was analyzing these investments. But when the system collapsed, the same thing you were thinking is the same thing I was thinking. Yeah, and I was driving a good car, but still, if on the 24th something happened to the system, my life fell apart. So it led me to think we've been living in this society that we are making a lot of mistakes because of our illusion of what being successful is, correct? Being wealthy is. And I learned the hard way. I stepped out into business and I assumed that wrongfully and painfully, that because of all these people I was doing investments for, when I left to start my own business, they will follow. No. So I'm here in my new office. They did not come, and now figuring out how do I make this work with nothing. Remember, I had no savings. Yeah, because I was living on the 24th, paycheck to paycheck. Me, I thought it was normal because that's what everybody is doing. But sometimes what we define normal is what is destroying us in the first place, yeah? But I thought it was normal, but it wasn't. It was what everybody else is doing, but it's not, because I found myself in a financial bind. But it is in that, when I say I found financial freedom, is I had to go back and admit that where I was whose fault? Mine. Who do we like to blame? Who do we blame? Employer, government, and all that, yeah? And I remember when I was working, before I left where I was working, we used to have those complaining sessions on a daily basis. I now call them the poverty support group. Yeah, that's a poverty support group. Anyone you're meeting to complain about is a poverty support group. And I want after today, if you are the chair of the poverty support group, you hand in your resignation, yeah? because it got me nowhere. And now when I didn't actually have people to complain with, because I had left the place I used to work, I had to start figuring out from nothing, what do I do?